welcome to another episode of Behind the Book, live this time from the Aria Sportsbook here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. My little living room, that I like to call it,
That's
right here by where I live. It's Jay Rue, the Vice President of Race and Sports at MGM Resorts International, everybody. Gil Alexander from the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204. Thank you all for being here. It is time, Jay, today to talk about a couple things. MLB Betting 101, that's Baseball Betting 101, and of course, the insanity that is the final quartet of teams in college hoops.
That's right. It's time to wrap up college basketball betting.
That's right.
Who better to do it than you and I?
Oh, I can't think of anybody. We'll do it. Next, Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app here from the Aria. Back at the Aria, it is Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. It's Gil Alexander from VSiN and Jay Rue, the Vice President of Race and Sports of MGM Resorts International, the bona fide celebrity and star of this here program. Jay, it's brought to you by the Play MGM app. I shouldn't just let that slide. There is never a better time of year than for folks to sign up for this app because it is absolute chaos in March.
When everyone descends on this city to come bet basketball, you've got to use the app. You use the app for everything else, right?
Right.
They got apps to find bathrooms, public bathrooms. So, it only makes sense that you would use the app so that you can enjoy, everything else there is to enjoy around here and have the freedom to move around, go to the pool, go to the restaurants, sit out front of a shop while your significant other is shopping. Do whatever it is that, you want to do that isn't necessarily around the games. I know that, the first 4 days, it's tough to get away from the book because there's games just going and going and going. But when you're coming to Vegas for, the second weekend and the third weekend, it makes a lot of sense because, you're going to be doing a lot of other things.
Are there apps to find public restrooms? Is that really a thing?
I believe there is, yeah. Right.
Obviously, to avoid all the lines where folks are betting, and they are big lines, so you do want to sign up for the Play MGM app. The first of the two college basketball semifinals this weekend on Saturday, Auburn and Virginia. The Wahoos of Virginia favored by 5.5 points here at MGM. Virginia gets here by virtue of their unbelievable win over Purdue in overtime. Auburn got here with an overtime victory over Kentucky themselves. Auburn did so scoring only one bucket, 2 points in the last 4:40 of that game. Forced overtime with a Jared Harper layup that essentially tied the game at 70 and put that game into the extra frame. Virginia, I don't often tell my own betting stories on this show, but I had Purdue in Survivor, and I had Purdue plus 4.5. A double stomach punch that I will not soon forget. But it is Virginia by 5.5. I thought this spread was too big, but some experts telling me no, that's where it should be.
You've got a really significant player for Auburn that is not going to participate, obviously.
Okeke.
I'd just like to point out, though, Auburn went on this unbelievable run, and the team that had them dead to rights was New Mexico State.
That is correct.
If it wasn't for just a wide open missed 3-point, New Mexico State could be in this position.
He had a layup, New Mexico State's point guard did, to put the game in overtime. He forgoes the layup, kicks it out. The three is fouled. Great free throw shooter, only connects on one of three. They still get an opportunity for a wide open three to win it, and that ball didn't come within 20 feet of the hoop.
No, poor kid. But
Aggies.
If you went and said, look, what team had the most exciting run in the tournament so far? It's got to be Auburn. Their games have been so exciting to watch, so much fun, and their coach is Bruce almost Pearl. As exciting to watch as what's happening on the court.
He's very animated out there, yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Virginia might have something to say about that. You're right, Auburn's run was exciting. Here's the thing about Virginia. That Purdue win was for the ages. Again, down 2 in the late going. Ty Jerome, who admits later he's trying to make that free throw. He accidentally misses it, which was the wrong play for him, but it works out. Tipped back into the backcourt. Kihei Clark making the most heady play of the tournament, making the right choice, passes it down to Diakite. He scores just before it goes to 0, forces overtime, and then the rest is history, as they say.
You're like an encyclopedia. That's amazing that you can recite that entire play.
Because I lost, Jay. That's why I remember
makes it
the
sting
details.
Just a tad bit more.
The other thing about Virginia, though, that bears mentioning, and we should not let this slide in history. Virginia was down in the opening round at number 16, Gardner-Webb. by 14 points with less than 7 minutes left in the first half. They famously lost to UMBC, the 16 seed last year, the only time in the history of this tournament that has happened. Imagine the pressure on those kids at that moment to overcome that, and here they are in the semifinals.
Redemption, yeah. I mean, this is going to be a great game. I mean, from a betting perspective, I think we're going to be needing Auburn pretty heavily. I think in this game.
You will.
Yeah, I think.
Wow.
I think everyone's going to probably line up with Virginia with that in mind, right? They want to finish some unfinished business. They were easily, I think, the best team in the tournament last year, and got bounced in the first round there. With the injury and just the fact that they're a 5 versus a 1,
right.
That's going to sway a lot of your casual players. That alone will, people will be like, I'll go with the team that everyone thinks is the better team. So from that perspective, that's what we're going to need. I think quite possibly 131. We might need the over in this game a little bit more, because I think the sharp community is going to probably bet this under a little bit, and I think the general public is going to bet it under as well.
I see.
But we'll see. Both these teams are going to be launching a bunch of threes. If Auburn can connect with a few of those, it should go flying over, I would think.
Auburn beat Kansas, Kentucky, and North Carolina. Not in that order. North Carolina before Kentucky. Doesn't get more blue-bloodish than that. Virginia, probably not something that intimidates them at this point. Interesting that you might need the over, because everybody, sharp and public, is going to bet the under. Virginia maintaining that pace in any game that they play. Virginia, Auburn. Virginia favored by 5.5. The first of 2 national semifinals. Back at the beautiful Aria Hotel here in Las Vegas, Gil Alexander, Jay Rude. It is Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. Jay, a special Behind the Book investigation reveals that the Major League Baseball season has begun.
It has, and
yes.
Mariners are in first place.
They are. The standings are completely turned upside down. The Astros are one of the worst teams in baseball, and the Orioles, the Baltimore Orioles, they have the 59-game win total.
All you can do is hope to stop the freight train at some point.
7% of the way there at 4-1. So before the season, people are betting season win totals, futures, that sort of thing. We can talk about futures. I don't love them before the season starts. I think the value is after a team swoons and then the odds adjust. But day to day,
this is exactly what you want right here, right? You would love the Astros to go 4-8.
That's right.
Right? And then have go, oh my gosh, they're really bad.
Yeah, let me
raise
adjust.
them up. No.
That's what happened last year with the Dodgers. The Dodgers started 16-26. I swooped on in. I got them at 25-1, and then they proceeded to lose in the World Series. But you get the idea.
They got there, though. You should have earned off of that.
Yeah, well, some of us just rode it through it. Didn't earn.
Well.
As far as day-to-day baseball betting goes, Jay, how about a little 101? Take any given Major League Baseball day and a game, and some days there are 15 of them on the full slate. There are certain standard betting vehicles. One is the money line, which is just a bet for your team to win.
Right.
Lay more money to win little money on a favorite.
Minus $1.40.
Minus $1.40.
You lay 140 to win 100, collect back 240.
The underdog.
Plus 120.
Lay 100 to win 120.
Collect back 220.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
What is
it's all based on $100 too. So
That's
if it gets
right.
a 320 favorite, minus 320, it's 320 to win $100.
By the way, it should be mentioned that the average, the casual bettor gets thrown off by money lines, and people should know that point spreads in football and basketball are all derivative of the money line as well.
Correct.
But that's how you do things in baseball. What is the run line? What should people know about what a run line bet is?
Run line is say you're dealing a minus 320 favorite in baseball, which I think we had the other day on the Dodgers versus
The Yankees against the Orioles.
Yeah, Yankees Orioles.
Even higher, yeah.
Which the dog got there.
Yes.
And so if you are reluctant to lay the 320 and you think the Yankees are going to win by 2 or more, then you lay the run line, which is minus 1.5 runs, meaning they have to win by 2. But generally, you're going to be laying a reduced price or taking odds. 320, you're probably going to be laying like $1.40, $1.50. But if the game is like a minus $1.80, you're going to be taking like plus $1.20, plus $1.15, somewhere in that range. So you reverse the odds by laying the points.
And of course, the dog is plus 1.5, same proposition.
Right.
Price adjusted there as well. Jay makes it sound very sort of nonchalant that, if it's a big favorite, you should take them on the run line. There are some pitfalls one should know. If that team falls behind, let's say even 1-0, they got to score 3 unanswered to even have a chance.
Right.
Or you get the idea, out outscore the opponent by 3 from that point forward. And if it's a home money line favorite, always keep in mind that there's that quirk in the 9th inning where if your team, the team you're betting on, is only up a run, their motivation is not aligned with your motivation as a bettor at that point.
Well, and if you're up a run, they don't get the same opportunity and number at bats, obviously, as a home team
That
does.
is what I'm referring to. Yes.
Right. So, I mean, you're there's a reason that we're giving you that kind of an odd. I'm not normally, one to discourage somebody from betting a certain way, but
Right, no.
laying a run and a half, you need to be very selective.
Okay. And there's also
the plus 185 and the plus $2 looks very juicy,
Yes.
but it's that price for a reason.
you've done this before is basically what you're saying.
Once or twice.
Yeah. Predictive models in baseball. Some baseball bettors choose to go that way. Some don't. But it is a great sport to bet on. And certainly with the calendar, the longest duration-wise, 7 months, 6 months of a regular season, then the playoffs. So it's here for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the sports that we handle the most money to.
Yeah.
Because of the length of the season. We take a pretty sizable bet to baseball. But one of the bigger, bets that have emerged over the last, few years is the first 5 innings.
Yes.
That's a bet that a lot of people like to play because it seems to run more true to form for the team because you're really betting on the starting pitcher and the starting conditions. Right? As you get deeper into the game, things can change wildly and wacky as well because now you're bringing in a bullpen. The decision making of the manager is a little bit different. Substituting players as you get deep into a game sometimes.
Yep.
So a lot of the sharp players like betting the first 5 innings because the conditions are a little bit more controllable.
Wild, wacky, and even zany at times
Zany,
after the 5th
yeah,
inning.
absolutely.
And I would argue that what Jay is saying is actually true there because as baseball evolves, our ability to quantify pitching becomes that much more difficult as Jay alludes to, the bullpen enters games earlier than they ever have before. Some teams even start now with a closer who's an opener, and that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that was a weird scenario with the A's last year.
Yeah, and the Tampa Bay Rays, of course. Baseball, betting, run line, money line is the most popular one.
Parlays.
First fives, totals. Don't do that so much. Although, actually,
Round
there are
robin
some
parlays
times.
can be a profitable model in baseball
loves
season.
round robins. He loves them.
If you get 2 or 3 streaking teams and
Yeah.
you round robin them and you're willing to accept a modest return, it's a good strategy.
Okay. And futures dynamic throughout the season. Jay
You're
will
telling me
adjust
you don't
them.
parlay or round robin?
I parlay sometimes.
Yes.
I don't round robin.
And
as
you
much.
parlay tanking NBA teams.
That I do.
Yes.
When you allow me to.
Right.
Against them, that is. Major League Baseball, a great sport to bet. Hope there was something in there that appeals to you. It's Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app, live here from the Aria. Back on Behind the Book from the Aria Hotel here in Las Vegas Casino. I love this sports book. It's Gil Alexander, Jay Rude, the Vice President of Race and Sports at MGM Resorts International. This is a sports book for those who are not familiar with. It is the most living room-esque sports book in Vegas. Would you agree with that?
I would, yeah, especially since your plaque is on the coffee
right.
table right over there in the little VIP area.
I walk in,
and
I'm like,
why
"Any
do we put you
faxes
in
for
the
me?"
VIP area?
Well,
is it because
Jay,
you're such a big star?
It's because you
know
guys
people.
have sympathy on me, I think. Yeah, I know people. So the second national semifinal, Jay, more
Yeah.
to the point, Michigan State and Texas Tech. This, by the way, these two national semis, Michigan State, Texas Tech, Virginia and Auburn, which we discussed earlier, a network's nightmare, if you will. None of the blue bloods are there. Does that translate to betting handle as well?
No.
Or no? Still
I
as
think
much? So
not.
if Duke's here, you don't get more action? Come on. Admit it.
I don't know. Michigan State's a great brand. I mean,
True.
it doesn't get bigger than Izzo. I mean,
Right.
Coach K, but Izzo, great brand. Obviously going up against a Texas Tech team that a lot of people here in Las Vegas, Nevada are a little sour about because Chris Beards, came, signed a contract for 10 hours and then left, went to Texas Tech or whatever it was.
And is probably the coach of the year.
Yeah, probably the coach of the year. It could have been UNLV's coach. UNLV, I mean, I'm not saying that UNLV would be in this position, but a little sour on that. But we're going to get great action to this. I mean, this tournament is about betting, right?
Yeah.
And the participants are almost unimportant, right? I mean,
It's a good point. Yeah.
television, different story, right? Because, Ma and Pa in Iowa going to watch this game or they're going to watch a rerun of CSI.
Right.
You know, I mean, and if Duke is in there with the best college player in the nation in Zion,
right,
they might tune in for that. But I mean, if they don't know anybody in this, then not.
No
but
offense to people who like CSI.
Right, but if you're in Las Vegas, Nevada, and you're here, and you're going to walk up to one of the betting counters, it doesn't matter if it's Michigan State or Duke. You're going to come up, you're going to make a bet, you're going to enjoy the game. That's what you're going to do while you're here.
I think that should also be pointed out. We'll get to Michigan State here and Texas Tech in 1 second. But with legalization in different jurisdictions, we went to Mississippi, we went to New Jersey, Beau Rivage and Borgata, respectively. There was some notion that Las Vegas would somehow take a hit on that. Yeah. But in the big events, what we've learned in the Super Bowl and March Madness, not at all the case.
Not at all. We're actually up almost 10%, 9.8% in handle in Nevada over on this tournament.
Amazing.
And we've shifted our mobile mix as well.
Yes.
Our mobile mix increased almost, I think it was 16% year over year. So really strong numbers. You know, Nevada still continues to be the king of sports betting. I think the tides will shift, obviously, as things continue to go. But as of right now, we're fine, and I think we're going to continue to be fine because we're developing people that want to come enjoy this environment. This environment's not going to be in very many jurisdictions.
Right.
You're not going to have sports books like you do in Las Vegas in other jurisdictions. You're going to have sports bars where you can bet, but not books.
March Madness, the weather here in Las Vegas with the pools.
Yes.
There's not really a way you can replicate that quite exactly. As far as the second national semifinal, Michigan State is a 2.5-point favorite over Texas Tech. Who are you going to need here?
Well, yeah, the Sharps are taking Texas Tech a little bit early in the week. As we get to Saturday, I got to believe that the public is going to line up on Michigan State. It's probably going to go back to 3. I wouldn't even be surprised to see if this goes to 3.5 if we get that much action on it. Although, I mean, Texas Tech has proven themselves in this tournament to be a solid, well-coached team. The strategy that they came in with against, I'm forgetting right now. Gonzaga was outstanding.
Yes.
And if, he's got time and can pull something out for Michigan State, should be another great game. But I think we're going to need Texas Tech in this particular spot.
Hypothetically speaking, if Virginia and the way they pace a basketball game takes on Texas Tech, defensive-minded team, if that's the national final, what might the total be for that game?
Popped in my head like 114.5.
I had 110 in my head. Yeah. Something anemic like that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's not good basketball.
But then it will come like 160.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's sports. I mean, that's why this is the greatest form of entertainment in the world. And you get to invest in it and be invested with the team just as well.
This sports betting thing, Jay, it's going to catch on one day.
It might work.
For Jay Rude, the Vice President of Race and Sports at MGM Resorts International, Gil Alexander from the Vegas Stats and Information Network, thank you so much for watching another edition of Behind the Book. Next week, golf's first major.
Yes. Well, no. They had the Players.
That's not a major, Jay.
Yes.
That's the PGA's major.
All right. Yep. It's the Masters. And where are we going to be? Beautiful Shadow Creek.
Yes, sir. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app.